So now I want to talk about the lovely Miss Claudia Jordan. She was in an interview recently and she had some words in regards to what she would tell her younger self. So let's listen in.
What do you wish someone had told you about dating like in your 40s and 50s back then?
You know, you think that when you're ready to settle down that there's always going to be a lot of supply on the shelves, and it's not. Like at this age, a lot of the good guys are married or taken because they're good guys. And I was having a conversation with a girlfriend of mine the other day.
Now, for those who don't know, Miss Claudia Jordan is the hostess of a show called Cocktails and Queens, or maybe she was. I don't know if that show is still on the air. But it's a terrible show. And they all feature women in their 50s and 60s that, for the most part, rail against men and masculinity and rail against the patriarchy. But she said something here that I think is out of character for her. She says if she could talk to her younger self, she would explain that good guys are not going to always be around, that the good guys come off the market. And this is something that is a lie that has been propagated to a lot of young women. Well, I wouldn't say young anymore, but women that were in the Generation X and millennial generations, where they were told to go to school, stay in school, get a career, get established in said career. And when you're about 35 or 40 years old, you can turn around and just get a husband. That's what they were taught to believe. But as Miss Jordan is talking about, that isn't true. That the woman's best years for marriage are actually in her 20s. And when she gets as old as she has, the pickings are slim. And it's not just because, now I'm going to disagree with her here, she says because the good men are taking. No, it's not because the good men are taken, it's just that the good men aren't looking for women like her. At least not for marriage.
And I'm like, well, your best bet now is maybe someone that, a good man that maybe is coming out of a marriage, getting a divorce. So, you know.
Or maybe a man that's short, or maybe a man that's bald, or maybe a man that's fat, or maybe a man that makes substantially less money than you. Those are the men that are available when you're 52 years old, as a single woman.
I think in our youth, and I would like people to know this when they're younger, we think, oh, there's always going to be an endless supply. I can wait till tomorrow. Don't put off your happiness waiting. You know, if you find that good person, like a lot of times we wait, well, it's not the right time. It's never going to be like the right time. I would say go for it more. I wish I would have told someone told me just go for it.
Now, this is something right here I want to talk about. I think it is a positive thing to always have an abundance mindset, but not when it comes to mate selection. There are a finite number of people that qualify for that role. And so you can't have the attitude, especially if you're a woman, that they'll always be able to find the right guy. No, you won't. No, you won't. When you find the right guy, you have to grab onto him because you don't know if the next one is coming. But believing that there's always options, that there's plenty of fish in the sea, this is how you get to where she is. Again, an abundance mindset is a great thing, but not when it comes to mate selection.
I probably have overlooked a good candidate before, you know, like maybe.
Why is that though?
And that's another great point that she makes there. You know, one of the things that Kevin Samuels used to always talk about when he would counsel these women, he would say that you probably met the man that should have been your husband. You probably met him several times. And that's what she's saying here. If you look at Claudia Jordan, I mean, she's a beautiful woman, an exceptionally beautiful woman. There's no reason why she couldn't find the right guy. I'm sure she's met plenty of men that would have loved to marry her, provide for her, and taken care of her. But having this belief that there's always another guy out there that has plenty of fish in the sea, again, it's how she got to where she is.
Me thinking the timing thing, maybe prioritizing career. You know, I definitely was always like work. I never thought I had enough cushion built up to like relax and take my foot off the gas and start a family.
And then did that just go on and on and on, and then you be 100 years old and you like, It's
damn
still
it,
working.
Still working. And I think, I will say specifically with Black women especially, I feel like we don't really have the luxury to think that we can kind of take time off like that, you know? And I specifically say Black women because like we're usually the backbone of everything.
And let me stop her right here. What she's talking about with Black women being the backbone and everything, that's self-inflicted. Men did not ask Black women to carry the whole burden. That was their ambitions, goals, and desires. And now we live in this society where women are getting pregnant and being single mothers by choice. They're looking for guys just to get them pregnant for the specific reason of just having a baby with or without the guy, preferably without them. Because we now have this gynocentric family structure or these matriarchies going on. Okay, where women are intentionally building families where they are at the leadership position. And so when you create these families, when you're at the leadership position, you're the only parent providing, you have to do it all because you decided you didn't want to have a man. And again, this is self-inflicted. This goes back to those old documentaries we saw in the 80s about how women said they didn't need men to raise children.
Raise your hand if you're married. None of you are married. Raise your hand if you would like to be married to your baby's father. One. The rest of you who don't plan to get married, why don't you plan to get married? I'd like to know that.
You already have your child to think about, and then a whole family to care for. You know, it's a lot of responsibility. And then you don't want the commitments.
I wouldn't want no man holding me down because I think I can make it as a single parent.
But don't you think you might need help in raising that baby from a man?
Not really. I didn't have a father. My father wasn't in the home, so, you know, it really, male figures are not substantially important in the family.
And as men, we've been hearing that for decades. I don't need no man. So this isn't something that a scenario where men have gotten up and left women, Black women. Black women have decided that, or better yet, Black women have invited us to leave.
You know, not even just with our families, but with our friend circles. Like, it's always something for us to do. We're always taking care of somebody else. I don't have children, but I'm always like feeding a friend or taking care of someone or helping somebody out or doing a favor. And I think that's a cape that we put on ourselves. No one told us to do this. It's just something in us that we do. And if you think about the Black woman in your life, you probably think, she's like a superwoman for everybody else. When does she slow down for herself? I think with Black women specifically, it's harder for us to ever feel like we can just kind of take a break. We have to be like all gas, no brakes. I don't think we have the luxury of feeling like, okay, I can take a breather now and relax.
Again, this is self-inflicted. This is decades of saying, I don't need no man. This is decades of saying, I'm a strong, independent woman who don't need no man.
And I think it's really sad. You know, there's all these statistics about 45%, 65% of Black women will never get married, you know.
Oh, it's worse than that. If you go to blackdemographics.com, I think it's around 74%. But even if you look at that 26% of Black women that are getting married, a lot of them are in the boomer generation. So 20 years from now, when the boomers die off, that number is going to get even lower. That it won't be 26%. It'll probably be in the teens or lower than that.
You know, and we're out here taking care of everybody else and not getting taken care of. And I think it's really sad. I think we self-impose this cape on ourselves to save the world. Look at all the marches. Look at all.
I'm glad she said that. We put these capes on ourselves.
Oh, I know this is dating, but I got to bring it into like the political space.
Okay, and so you get the gist of it. And for those who want to know, it was on the Roommate Diary. She's going to go off into politics. I'm not going to want to hear about politics. It doesn't really matter because that takes us off the theme of the video. But I want you to recognize something here. Again, Claudia Jordan is an exceptionally beautiful woman. And even though she is 52 years old, I don't think it's necessarily over for her. Not just because of her physical attraction, but she's saying the right things. She's saying, hey, I messed up. I made the wrong decisions in my youth. I realize that I'm going to have to compromise and get less than what I want if I want to be married. Now, I'm not saying it's a guarantee, but this puts her ahead of the curve of other women in her age range. But we have more examples of women blowing their opportunities with good men. Here is an interview with Deontay Wilder. Now, for those who don't know, Deontay Wilder is a heavyweight boxer, or he's a retired heavyweight boxer. And he's talking about his breakup with his ex-fiancée, Telly Swift, and how he took care of their son. But one thing I want you to notice here is that Deontay is a tall, handsome athlete, a physical specimen, and a decamillionaire. He's 6'7", 240 pounds of lean muscle. Just based on looks alone, he's a 1% man. And when you put in his wealth, his fame, his career success, the fact that he's a heavyweight champion, there are less than 1,000 men like him walking the earth. Exceptional. Exceptional. But here he has a situation with his ex-fiancée and her son. So here is a woman with a man. You know, like I said, there aren't 1,000 men like him walking the planet. And somehow she blew it. Let's hear what he has to say.
I took the role of being your son father, not just a daddy, but a father.
Right.
I went in so hard, bro. I went in so hard to the point where I put them on my wheel. I had a meeting with my kids. I said, how y'all feel if I scoot y'all over? I scoot over a little slide and let somebody else get a little bit of it. And you know, my kids are amazing. They're my best friends.
Now see, this is something exceptional. We now live in an era where a lot of men are saying, hey, I don't want to be a stepdad. I don't want to be a stepdad at all. You know, I want my own family. But here was a man willing to be a stepfather to not his wife's child, but his fiance's child. Before he even married her and became the legal stepfather, he put them in his will. So this is a man that's going above and beyond. Again, he's tall, he's handsome, he's successful, he's fit, he's a world champion, he's famous, a decamillionaire. There aren't 1,000 men like him walking the planet. He's everything that women say that they want. But still he has these problems with this woman.
And that was down with it. So I moved a little space over and added her son in. I'm like, you ain't even my son for real.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that has to take a toll.
I put her in my wheel as well too. Yeah. You was just my girlfriend. You ain't even my wife.
I hope that still ain't dead, man.
Yeah, man. I
hope that still ain't.
One time the son said, "You ain't my daddy." Now that's one thing you don't say to a man that ain't your daddy. Don't remind him that you ain't his daddy. You ain't. You know what I'm saying? Don't remind me that.
I know that, but you ain't got
to. Right. After I done fed you, took you on all these trips, giving you a beautiful life.
Yeah.
I ain't your daddy. I put you on my wheel. Bro, when he did that, bro, I ran to my lawyer to try to get that, you know what I mean? Yeah. Because I felt like I was finna have a heart attack.
Right. Now that's something right there. People talk about the fatherless rate or the out of birth lock rate in the black community and how high it is. But here's the secret. It's always been high. You know, black children have been born out of wedlock for decades, not just starting in the 60s, but in the 50s, 40s, 30s, 20s. You know, for as long as we've been keeping record, we've had a lot of kids born out of wedlock. But the reason why the perception is that number was low back in the day is because those single mothers got married. Okay? Back in the day, before we had all these programs like the Great Society that would make women independent from men, women had to depend on men for a good life. If you didn't, you would starve to death. And so those ladies back in the day, they would get on code. And they would get their children on code. And these women, oftentimes these single mothers, would outperform in the category of femininity because they needed a man. And they would make sure that their children were respectful. My grandmother was a single mother, but my grandfather married her because she was a very feminine woman. And she let my aunt know, this man here is going to be your father and you will respect him as such. Whether you know him not to be your dad or not, you're going to call him daddy. You're not going to raise your voice for him. And the last thing you're going to do is backtalk him, because we need him to survive. And so it was an honorable position to marry a single mother back then. The community respect you, the wife will be grateful for you, and the child above all would respect you. But what he's talking about here in this modern day, the children are disrespectful. This is a man that did everything for a kid that was not his, and this boy had the nerve to say, "You ain't my daddy," even after he put him in his will. Moving on to the next case. See this beautiful woman right here? She's an Akron woman. And you see this handsome dude right here, tall, good looking, well built. This is her fiance, and look at the size of the ring he got her. And last year she took to Facebook and she made this post. I'm sorry if you can't read it. Let me see if I can zoom in for you. Okay, here we go. This is crazy. Story time. I met my fiance about 2.5 years ago. I had never seen nor met this man until I followed him on Instagram. We exchanged numbers, and the first thing I noticed was that he had the same area code as me. Come to find out, he's from my city. Here's where stuff starts to get interesting. So I take my man home to meet my family, and my grandpa happens to know his dad through a mutual friend. This is the first wow, what a small world interaction. The second is crazy. My biological father has spent most of my life in prison. Let's stop right there. This woman has a father that spent most of her life in prison. Yet she's still able to get this handsome, tall man who bought her a nice ring. I suspect he makes a lot of money. Typically, when you have a woman with that background, men who come with money are often taught to stay away from her. You know, her daddy's a convict. He's been in prison for a long time. You don't want to marry into that family. Yet somehow she got this man. Continuing. He got out about a year ago, and about a month ago, I decided to fly him to Dallas to visit. So my dad was here this past week. We're hanging out and chopping it up. Come to find out, my fiance's dad was the prison warden at my dad's prison. They know each other. So let's recap. Tall, handsome, successful man who comes from a good family. His father is a warden. Her father is a long-term inmate. Yet she still got him. Let's keep reading. My dad's over here talking about my fiance's dad taught him how to cook squash and zucchini in prison and helped him lead his culinary program. Whole time my fiance and I had no idea about each other, but our dads are literally together every day for years. Talk about a full circle, small world, divine timing. Let's look at that again. Divine timing. So there's a God component here. I'm assuming she's a Christian. Divine timing type of moment, because what? If I didn't think we were meant to be, I for damn sure believe it now. Divine timing. Meant to be. Sure believe it now. So on the surface, everything seems great. She's got this wonderful man, even though she comes from a sketchy past and he comes from a great past, she still is able to link up with him. And you would think this would be a happily ever after. Well, let's see how it ends. This is the same woman. She says, woman says she had the perfect man and relationship, but still ended her engagement and moved on because she changed her mind. Okay, I'm going to play this video through, then I'm going to come back and interject, but I want you to hear everything she has to say without my interruption.
I ended my engagement and today I'm moving out. There wasn't any betrayal. He didn't cheat or anything. Honestly, I just changed my mind. Sometimes clarity comes quietly. Choosing yourself doesn't always need a big explanation. But my village, the women in my life, are so amazing. They've shown up for me in more ways than one, helping me pass, sitting with me, praying for me, making a hard transition feel lighter just by being there. I'm so grateful for community, for having people who hold you up when you're stepping into something new. So here I am, closing this chapter, putting pieces of my old life into storage and stepping into a new season. I don't know exactly what the future holds, but I am excited. I feel at peace and I'm ready for what's next in the new year.
Okay. So you look at what she has here, what this man gave her, what her background is, what his background is. Divine timing, meant to be, belief. But she's leaving him because she changed her mind.
I ended my engagement and today I'm moving out. There wasn't any betrayal. He didn't cheat or anything.
So he didn't do anything wrong. No betrayal, didn't cheat or anything, wasn't mistreating her, wasn't misusing her. Good looking, tall, makes great money, comes from a great family. She comes from a sketchy family. Gave her a big engagement ring. She said it was divine timing. But she changed her mind. Not because he did anything wrong. She just changed her mind. And again, I can't emphasize, look at this guy. Look at Deontay Wilder. Based on looks alone, this is what women say they want. But somehow they fumble the bag. Somehow they still get rejected for foolish reasons. This man, by her own admission, didn't do anything wrong. But she's leaving him. For what, Christian lady, church lady, woman of God? Why are you leaving him?
Honestly, I just changed my mind. Sometimes clarity comes quietly. Choosing yourself doesn't always need a big explanation. But
choosing yourself, ladies and gentlemen, that's flower language. Choosing yourself is saying, I'm selfish. I'm myopic. I suffer from solipsism. I don't care about the fact that I wasted 3 years of this man's time, that this man has been good to me. I have my own selfish reasons, my own childish reasons for leaving him. I haven't considered the fact that this man may be a wonderful father to my children. I'm choosing myself, not my future children, not my future children. I'm being selfish, is what she's saying. Don't let these flower terms fool you. That's what it means.
My village, the women in my life, are so amazing. They've shown.
Okay, this is a coven. This is a coven. Her village, the women in her life, this is a coven. Now, why do I say that it's a coven? Because if these were good women, if these were wise women, if these women were really her friends, they would say, homegirl, you are tripping. Take your ass back home to your husband or your fiance. This is a wonderful man who's treated you right, who's done nothing wrong, who's good looking, who comes from a good family. And you come from a family where people go to prison for a long time. Your father went to prison for a long time. Most of his friends probably said stay away from you, but he gave you a chance. And you're leaving him? The Bible talks about the importance of keeping wise counsel. Church lady, Christian lady, divine timing lady. How do you let these buffoons be in your quote community? I'm sorry. It's not a community. It's a coven. Because only a coven would allow something like this to happen. Only a coven would encourage a friend to do something like this. Christian women, Bible-believing women, would separate themselves from women who did something this foolish. Even I as a man, if one of my homeboys got a good wife and he dogs her out, or a good potential wife and he dogs her out, I'm not hanging with that fella anymore because he's unstable. He's reckless.
Shown up for me in more ways than one, helping me pass, sitting with me, praying for me,
praying for her. In other words, asking God to bless her. No, sister, I'm not praying for you other than God, please give her some sense And please let this man take her back. That's the only prayer she needs.
A hard transition feel lighter just by being there. I'm so grateful for community, for having people who hold you up when you're stepping into something new.
No. Her friends should be holding her accountable, not holding her up. You don't exalt foolish behavior. You condemn foolish behavior. You speak out against foolish behavior. If you're a friend, you correct foolish behavior in love. But you don't encourage it.
So here I am, closing this chapter, putting pieces of my old life into storage, and stepping into a new season.
New season. There it is, more of that selfish, gynocentric Christianese talk, stepping into my new season.
I don't know exactly what the future holds, but I am excited. I feel at peace, and I'm ready.
I don't know what the future holds, but you feel excited, you feel at peace. Lady, that's chaos. Anytime you sit around thinking that you don't know what the future holds, but you feel at peace because you don't know, that's chaos. And she doesn't know it. But this is what happens. We have so civilized the world to the extent that young women think they can live without men. They just float around in the atmosphere making bad decisions like this. Like walking away from a good relationship. So we got 1, 2, 3 women who've blown it. But hold on, it gets better. Let's listen to this one. This might be the most frustrating story. She left her husband and corporate job and moved to LA to scoop ice cream. My God.
Hello, I'm JC. I'm 30 years old and I too am starting over. I was in an 8-year-long relationship where we had a house, a dog, a white picket fence, but I decided that I didn't want to get married and have kids, so...
House, a dog, a white picket fence. But I decided to end it all because I didn't want to get married. I didn't want to get kids. I didn't want to have kids. What did Miss Naya Gonzalez say she was doing? She was choosing herself. Isn't that what this is? I didn't want to have kids. I'm choosing myself. Again, this is everything that women say they want. The house, the nice picket fence, the husband, the marriage or fiance. But they say no. And again, these are young women.
So I left that relationship and moved back in with my parents. I was also working a corporate job, 40 hours a week, a nice salaried position. But I decided that I didn't want to work behind a computer for the rest of my life.
You gotta be damn kidding me. You gotta be kidding me. You had a corporate job with a nice salary, and now you're living with your parents? She didn't lose her job. She didn't get fired. She just said, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm choosing myself.
So I moved to Los Angeles and now I scoop ice cream for a living.
God damn it. Ice cream. She scoops ice cream for a living. She gave up her relationship. She gave up her home. She gave up the picket fence. She even gave up the dogs and the corporate job to live at home with her parents and to scoop ice cream. And she says that with such gusto and confidence. Kind of like the way Miss Gonzalez talks about, I don't know what the future holds, but I'm at peace. These women are chaotic. How do you find comfort and peace and optimism and joy in instability? Oh, I know. Crazy people do that. Not functioning adults.
I'm also pursuing social media on the side, but I'm a 30-year-old ice cream scooper. I've had failed relationships. I struggle with my finances because I work a minimum wage job.
You don't say. Scooping ice cream doesn't pay well? Really?
And it does get lonely sometimes, especially feeling like you're behind in life, seeing your friends get married, have kids, and progressing in their careers. But I personally have never felt more fulfilled than by starting over because...
By scooping ice cream, you never felt more fulfilled than working minimum wage, living with your parents, and scooping ice cream. This makes you feel more fulfilled. Children with breasts. children with breasts. That's what we're dealing with.
I get to wake up and feel passionate about what I do every single day.
Passionate about scooping ice cream. That's what she's talking about. Now, this next lady is just going to take the punch. She's just going to sum this up perfectly. It's the stupidest thing I ever heard. I'm not going to interrupt her. I'm just going to let her talk. She's going to say a whole lot of stupid.
Nobody talks about the guilt of not liking back. The kindest guy you know would treat you right.
Yeah, I'm going to interrupt. You should feel guilt. Women talks about the guilt of rejecting that man that you know would treat you right. Something in you just doesn't click, then you feel bad because you can't explain why. You can't explain why because it doesn't make any sense. You're not supposed to explain why something that stupid happens. There is no explanation for reckless behavior. There's no reason to it, so there's no way to explain it.
Like, he's sweet, he's respectful, he's probably the guy your mom would love for you to be with, and yet something in you just doesn't click.
That thing in you that doesn't click, that's called immaturity. That's called ignorance. That's called foolishness. That's having this abundance mindset that you can always get another one. That's called choosing myself. That's called being selfish. It's called being a child.
And then you feel bad because you can't even explain why.
You should feel bad because it's stupid.
Like, how do you tell someone it's not you, it's just that my heart's not in it?
You can't because it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. You know, women like this are what we call chronic bad decision makers. Chronic bad decision makers. And this goes back to Claudia Jordan. She got in the position that she was in because she made decisions like this. She made decisions like this. She made decisions like this. And she rationalizes it with thoughts like this.
It almost makes you feel ungrateful.
Because you are. You don't get an infinite amount of opportunities. And this woman is older than the previous ones, or she at least looks older. Yet she has the confidence and the bravado to talk like this.
Because you know there are people out here begging for someone like him. But here you are, not feeling it. And the worst part is you can see he would move mountains for you. But you also know that if you forced yourself to be with him, it wouldn't be fair. Not to him.
Exactly. The f*** are you talking about?
That's babble. That's babble. It wouldn't be. What are you even talking about? That whole sentence doesn't make any sense. If you forced yourself to be with this good man that everybody wants, it wouldn't be fair. If you forced yourself to make the right decision, this is just insane. You know what? I take it back. These women are doing these men a favor. Because who knows, 5-10 years down the line, they could divorce these guys and take their money. I take that back. It's not fair. You're right. It's not fair. These women are doing these men a favor. They're leaving them before they marry. And they walk away with nothing. Okay, I changed my position on this totally. Because none of these airheads should be married. Not her, not her, not her, and definitely not her. They don't deserve men.
Not to you. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is not lead someone on. And yeah, it's hard.
You know what? I agree with that. Get out of that man's life before the chaos that's in your brain ruins his.
Hard, but you can't fake love, y'all. It's either there or it's not.
Clown. This is what happens. See, this is what happens. We've made Hollywood real. We've made Hollywood real, and we think that marriage and relationship are supposed to be this beautiful thing where, you know, the angels are singing and the birds are singing and you just live in a constant state of euphoria. No, love is boring. Love is deciding who you want to be bored with for the rest of your life and being able to rely on that person. That's love. It isn't magic or whatever fairy tale she's convinced herself that it is. This is why I don't want you to feel sorry when you see women like this that are 53 years old and sitting here crying about how they can't find love and they're sad about what they did in their past. Because they didn't get there by mistake. They didn't go from being 23 to 53 overnight. There were a series of decisions that they made over the course of decades that put them in a position to where they would be single at their old age. That's what Claudia Jordan is talking about. She made a series of bad decisions, having an abundance mindset, thinking that she can always get a man. That's what these ladies all have in common. Each one of them had an opportunity. Each one of them got a good man, but somehow they blew it. It's not somehow, they foolishly blew it. For reasons they can't explain. And this is what the end result is. Crying in your car, wondering where the decades went. This is the end result. Being 50 plus years old with no children and no husband and no prospects. Talking about you got to compromise when you shouldn't. Again, this is Claudia Jordan. Look at how beautiful she is. There's no way in the hell a woman this attractive should be compromising, but she is. Why? Because she threw away her youth. And that's it. That's all I got to say about it. Now streaming on Patreon. Layman's Journal Chapter 271. If you've been following my content for a while now, you'd know I'm fascinated with human nature, specifically in regards to gender, and how differences in gender determine our behavior. But aside from gender, I also study group dynamics, and how they can influence human nature, and how the people we associate with largely determine the decisions we make. Because humans, just like cattle, wolves, and schools of fish, are pack animals, meaning we prefer to live and function within groups. That's why we live in cities, have circles of friends, and seek out relationships with the intent of creating families. And it isn't learned behavior, it's instinctual. Studies have shown babies, shortly after they're born, require human touch. Researchers don't know why, but physical touch in the form of affection plays a critical role in infant development and survival, which is why doctors, as soon as a child is born, lie them on their mother's chest, and why fathers often take off their shirts when holding their children for the first time. It's something about that skin-to-skin contact that helps a child thrive. But women, more so than men, need the group dynamic. They can't live without a pack environment. Men, on the other hand, are more like lions. We're born into a pack, and we enjoy the social familiar structure. But we have our bachelor years. It's a season in our lives where we, as men, have to go it alone. Like young male lions who come of age, we leave the pride of our families, move away from our parents' homes, get our own place, grow and establish ourselves as men. For the most part, we ignore women during that time, so we can hone our skills, chase the bag, and improve ourselves mentally and physically. before returning to create our own pride or family. But not women. Women stay within packs. Many move out of their parents' homes like men, but they stay close to family and seek out social groups. They don't leave to go through seasons of isolation to self-improve. They focus their energy on maintaining or growing social bonds. Because women are the ultimate survivors. They don't have the strength that men have to survive in the wild, yet somehow they do it at higher rates than men, because they, more so than men, understand the concept of safety in numbers. They know there's protection and comfort within the group, and they will do anything to stay within said group. Even if the group is toxic, their desire to belong and fear of not fitting in supersedes the desire for righteousness if it requires being alone. This is why the overwhelming majority of cult members tend to be women, why social media personalities and pastors, in spite of being exposed on multiple occasions, still enjoy strong, loyal female followings. Because the women that follow them can't live outside of the group dynamic. And we see a great example of that in the film Set It Off. It's the story of a young woman, a beautiful young woman named Stoney, who joins a coven of chronically single black women on a bank robbing spree with deadly consequences.